reported that a unit from its Bislamak brigade was patrolling Tal al-Sultan, an area in Rafah, on Wednesday, October 16, 2024. 3 militants were identified and engaged by Israeli troops as they attempted to move from one building to another.
All right, guys, we're gonna get right into it, man. So shout out to this guy AI Telly. He's been making some of these AI videos. He's been dropping some gems lately. Go check him out, AI Telly. And he makes he makes like an AI depiction of how Yahya Sinwar was assassinated, martyred by the IDF unit called the Bislamak Brigade, which I've heard that's not even an actual brigade. I don't know. So a lot of people were saying that they don't have anything like that called the Bislamak Brigade. I don't know. So they were obviously in the Rafah, which is the last stronghold of the Hamas militants, and Sinwar was assassinated, martyred. There's been mixed reactions about his death. A lot of people who are supportive of the resistance have, definitely seen him as a hero. The fact that, all the lies that were made up about him surrounding himself with hostages or hiding in tunnels and all that, and the reality of it is he was boots on ground, fighting with his militants and his comrades. So let's play the video real quick. This is a pretty interesting take here.
Firing back at the patrolling forces whenever possible. The patrolling tanks and the fighting vehicles fired shells at the buildings, destroying both structures. It wasn't until Thursday morning, October 17, when a DNA test confirmed that one of the militants was Yahya Sinwar, the elusive military commander. We will also explore in detail 2 possible scenarios, how he was eliminated, all covered in the videos ahead.
And there's been debate. People are saying that some people are saying that he was identified a day after, that they didn't even know that they killed him. You got other people saying that they knew at that moment. No official statement has been released regarding this, other than the guy was assassinated via a sniper. And a lot of people, they don't really know what exactly transpired, but there's just been speculation, really.
At 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, October 16th, a soldier from the battalion of the Bislamak Brigade noticed a suspicious figure moving in and out of a building in Rafah's Sultan neighborhood. The soldier immediately informed the battalion commander, who assessed the situation. After evaluating the threat, the commander gave the order to open fire on the structure. The gunfight with the militants inside the building were relentless in not surrendering. Around 3 o'clock in the evening, a drone identified 3 individuals attempting to exit the building and move from house to house, using the structures as cover. 2 of these figures moved in front of the IDF line of fire to protect the 3rd figure. This in turn cleared the path for the 3rd individual, who was Sinwar, a high-value target which the IDF didn't know. The situation involved 2 key buildings. Building A is one where Sinwar's bodyguards had taken up positions, and the other structure B to which Sinwar moved. It was at this moment that the IDF forces targeted both buildings. They first opened fire on the structure where the bodyguards were positioned, using machine gun fire to neutralize the threat and clear a path. The operation accidentally isolated Sinwar, who had relocated to the 2nd building. As the situation unfolded, the IDF tanks, shell, and ground forces coordinated their efforts. After firing on the 1st building, they reloaded and redirected their fire towards the 2nd building where Sinwar had taken cover. Sinwar moved to the 2nd floor of this building in an attempt to evade capture. A tank then fired another shell, hitting the building, while an infantry platoon moved up to secure and search the area. During their approach, Sinwar threw 2 grenades at the advancing soldiers. One grenade exploded, forcing the soldiers to retreat temporarily for their safety. It was this moment.
Yeah, so, a lot of people are considering the fact that he actually took up a fight with these soldiers as heroic. He got hit with a tank mortar, and then the building collapsed, and they tried to go in. He hit him with a few grenades to, distract them, and he was really fighting for his life towards the end. And you know, it hasn't been reported or anything yet, but they're saying that at least four fighters from the IDF were eliminated or severely injured during this whole tirade, including the 4 to 5 people that were surrounding Sinwar during this time. From his 4 to 5 people from his militants.
A drone was then deployed to survey the room. It spotted a man with an injured arm and a covered face identified as Sinwar. As the drone hovered, Sinwar threw a wooden stick at it in an attempt to disable the device. In response, the IDF forces fired another tank shell at Sinwar's location, ensuring they maintained control of the situation. It was at this moment the whole building was partially destroyed and the figure was crushed by the rubbles. This is scenario 2. In the south of Gaza, the IDF deployed a significant number of Namor infantry.
So he leaves out the what actually happened and the fact that he actually got sniped in the head, and we do see, I can't show the footage on here obviously, but you could see that he was obviously visibly shot in the head, and that's what took him out. You know, for some reason he left that out. I don't know.
Fighting vehicles in the operation. These vehicles were equipped with high-caliber guns and missiles mounted on their tops, allowing for both heavy firepower and precision strikes. According to reports from an IDF soldier, the forces targeted the building where Sinwar was believed to be hiding. They launched a missile from one of the Namor IFVs, striking the structure with huge explosion. To verify the success of the strike, the IDF then deployed a drone to inspect the aftermath and confirm whether Sinwar had been killed. On Wednesday, October 16th, the troops were unaware that the individual they were targeting was Sinwar himself. When the drone entered the demolished building, it captured footage of a man with his face covered, but did not know he was a high-value target. In response, the IDF directed additional fire at his location. This concentrated fire ultimately eliminated Sinwar. It wasn't until the next day, Thursday, October 17th, when IDF soldiers arrived on the scene, that they confirmed the identity of the individual killed as Sinwar. The soldier reporting the event noted that this confirmation was based on visual inspection, once they were physically at the site. However, out of caution, the troops suspected that the building might have been booby-trapped. To avoid any casualties from potential explosives, they chose not to remove the corpse immediately. Instead, they retrieved a part of Sinwar's finger and sent it to Israel for DNA testing to confirm his identity. Later that same day, after conducting thorough checks and ensuring the area was safe from any remaining threats or traps, the IDF managed to extract Sinwar's body. The remains were then transported to Israel for further examination and handling. Before we move into Sinwar...
Yeah, I think that his second take on there was already disproven by several of the generals and people involved in this takedown. So, yeah, I don't think that was because I don't know why didn't they say he got sniped in the head, and he definitely did. There was a huge gash in his head.
Military strategy. As an engineering channel, we'll first look into how to fire the Israeli Merkava tank. Now let's explore the interior of the tank, where we find the commander weapon station. The most prominent feature here is the primary sight extension, ensuring that both the commander and the gunner share the same view. On the side, you can see the commander display unit. This is the commander control system that tracks targets using the panoramic 360-degree sights and moves as demonstrated in this animation. In summary, the commander can operate the turret, search for targets, and fire the gun. Let's take a closer look at the gunner station. This section is referred to as the gunner handle, with the 2 black handles serving as the primary controls. Above them, you'll find a smaller red switch, which of course is the trigger. When this switch is pressed with both safeties disabled, the result is the firing of the 120mm gun. It's important to note that the gunner can operate this set of switches on one side. When pressed and held, the gunner can rotate the turret as demonstrated in the animation. These switches can also be used to elevate and depress the gun too when both of them are pressed and rotated. The result of these actions can be observed from outside the tank. When the gunner releases the switch, the gun movement stops. Located immediately adjacent to the commander is the loader section. What is particularly intriguing is the loader's capability to choose an electrically operated revolving magazine for the type of ammunition required. The tank is equipped to house 48 rounds of ammunition, each securely stored within its protective container. An electrically operated revolving magazine is designed to accommodate 10 rounds that are readily available for immediate use. This setup serves to prevent a cook-off scenario when the tank is struck by enemy rounds. Additionally, the tank is equipped with a 60mm mortar positioned within the turret. When the situation calls for it, the operator can initiate the firing of the mortar round. When ready, the loader can fire the mortar round as shown in this visualization. Sinwar was born in the Khan Yunis refugee camp in Egyptian-ruled Gaza in 1960.
Yeah, by the way, like, I know people have seen these videos on X and some of these videos trending where they see the RPG launchers, where the tanks get hit. And they're being hit in specific spots that would, there's a specific section where it's more sensitive to damage than, the rest of the tank. But most of these RPGs that hit the tanks, they don't necessarily disable the entire tank. It's just, it causes damage, but it's not necessarily a disabling the tank or killing slash injuring the individual inside. It really depends on you have to really get in on a certain angle. There's a section in the tent that AI Telly is going to show us now where you'd have to aim the RPG to really do some damage there. So not all those RPG hits are really doing damage.
After the assassination of Haniyeh, he became the top leader in Gaza. Sinwar was smart enough to sanction tunneling methods, ranging from simple manual strategies to slightly advanced methods like forepoling and drilling blasts for hardened rocks. He understands that tunnels can be reinforced with concrete to support the weak underground structures in Gaza, which are divided into approximately 7 to 8 levels deep underground.
Yeah, and by the way, these tunnels are over 200 to 300 miles long. I believe that's the well. They even say it's larger than the New York subway station. So it's miles and miles of tunnels.
These tunnels are intentionally dug deep to protect against bunker buster bombs like the GBU-28 that can destroy tunnels. Sinwar, as a military leader, invested $3 million per tunnel for the construction of the underground metros since the last decade. Let's take a look at Sinwar Tunnel. At level 1, you will find the entrance as well as a launch pad for the Qassam rockets. Level 2 features a reinforced tunnel, which uses concrete blocks with an arc to support the structure. On level 3, the deep tunnels require oxygen for the different levels. This is one of the reasons an oxygen generator or air ventilator is needed to transfer fresh air from the surface and distribute it to the different levels. Sinwar was also the mastermind of the October 7 invasion. He launched a surprise attack on over 20 Israeli communities. As a military commander, he planned the assault by using a combination of rockets, paragliders, motorcycles, and other vehicles to penetrate Israel Defense Forces. This coordinated attack aimed to cause maximum disruption and casualties within a short period of time. He learned Hebrew during his 22 years in prison and also studied the IDF strategy. As stated, he perfected and expanded the already existing tunnel infrastructure.
Yeah, by the way, this guy was in prison he was in Israeli prison for 23 years. He would refuse to speak. He only spoke with Israelis in Hebrew. He pretty much learned everything he needs to know to effectively launch this military campaign that we're seeing now. From their culture, the way they talk, their mentality, even their military and how it's structured, how it's organized. So he knew all that information before conducting that attack on October 7th, which is actually very uncommon for like an Arab, Palestinian, or any Arab in general to learn Hebrew. There's rarely any that speak Hebrew. Even the ones living amongst the Jewish population in Palestine.
And manages to perfect the hit and run tactics using the underground metro to its full advantage. Let's assume the Merkava tank as a target. Remember the tunnels we talked about in our recent video? The guerrillas would come out of the tunnels with these anti-tank RPGs. The Merkava has a trophy system, which works when the radar detects and classifies incoming targets. If the threat poses a danger, the countermeasure engages to neutralize it, keeping it away from the protected zone. But it does have its weaknesses. The soldiers were also instructed to use the Al Yassin RPG at very close range to limit the trophy's system radar to achieve its full potential. They would also target the rear armor, that is, these doors for infantry soldiers to enter, which is substantially weaker than the front and sides. The second option of what Hamas would do is just hitting the tanks with RPG just below the turret to damage the tank or render it stationary. We get our sources from ground news, so scan the QR code or...
Yeah, so those tanks are solid, man. Like, you really have to hit it in a specific location to even really damage it. That's why, I mean, we do see a lot of those RPGs landing and they're getting hit, and it's, you know, a lot of them I'm sure have been disabled, but not every hit is a home run when it comes to these tanks, guys. Nor is it really injuring or even killing the individual operating it. But, you know, a lot of people had mixed reactions about his death, guys. Obviously, the Islamic world saw him as a martyr. And it just disproved all the lies that there was. Oh, well, he's hiding behind hostages, and you know, he's having his men work for him, and you know, he's not. But he was literally on the battleground, died on the battleground with his comrades. So here we got I don't even know if we can really say his name on YouTube, but your boy here.
To show a true hero like that, fighting on the front lines until the last breath, with the wire wrapped around his arm, throwing something at the drone coming after him. Look how visually representative that is of the situation. Tanks, drones, snipers, all against one man and his spirit, a man and his stick. They need all that to take out one 63-year-old man, born in a refugee camp, 25 years in prison being tortured, and still they could not break his spirit until the last final breath. That's what shows the power.
That was Nico. He's a Muslim, of course. But scrolling down a bit, you've got people like Jackson Hinkle, Yahya Sinwar. When we are killed for the sake of God, we do not die. So he's been talking about it. Somebody wrote a single hair camel, a single hair on Yahya Sinwar's head has more honor and dignity than the entire of the Western world. We've got a Chinese individual, Mingda. Yahya Sinwar is not only a hero for Palestinians, Yahya Sinwar is also a hero to all those who resist Anglo-Saxon imperialism and Jewish supremacism worldwide. China salutes Comrade Yahya Sinwar. Andrew Tate, who's a Muslim. I can only pray for a death as heroic as Yahya Sinwar. Brave, defiant in the face of evil, and dedicated to his life purpose. He deserves eternal rest. He earned it. Dan Cohen, sounds like a Jewish name, but I don't know, obviously I don't want to judge. Israel made the biggest mistake of publishing footage of Yahya Sinwar's last moments. Wearing a kufaya and severely injured, he threw a stick at the drone filming him in a final act of defiance against the Zionist occupation. In his death, he has become a legend. Sean Padraig McCarthy. Israel promised some of the poorest people on the earth $400,000 and a chance to escape death if they betrayed Yahya Sinwar, and none of them would do it. Over here in the richest country on earth, people will stay silent about the genocide to protect their acting careers. What a contrast. Somebody called Hadi saying Israel accidentally turned Yahya Sinwar into an international hero. The man became a legend. Someone called Keith Woods. Incredible footage. Yahya Sinwar covered in dust, all his comrades just killed, arm amputated and close to death, hurls a projectile at an Israeli drone in a final act of defiance. I mean, isn't it crazy, guys? And I'm going to read more. There's more of this coming. There's someone called Kalisi. She seems like a non-Muslim, I don't know. Israel released more footage of Yahya Sinwar's final moments. He's wounded and immobilized as an Israeli tank fires at him. It took a drone, a tank, and an aerial bombing to kill one man, thereby commenting the legendary status afforded to him. He will be seen as an icon always. It is unbelievable the amount of non-Muslims on X and everywhere for that matter who are seeing this as an absolute act of defiance. Yes? So this is...
Yeah, man. And let's just be quite frank here. I mean, the guy... What politician do you know right now in the United States that would die that death for his country or his people? Trump wouldn't do it. Biden would. If a world war came about and America was invaded, Trump would be the last person to carry arms and defend himself or risk his life defending the American people. He'd be somewhere in Europe, or somewhere in a safe, secluded location. Similar with what's his name? The guy in Israel, right? The prime minister. He's not bearing arms. He's not going to go out there and fight with his soldiers. None of them are. None of them are. They're putting all these other guys to go into the meat grinder. And, a lot of them are coming up. A lot of them are dying, risking their lives, severe injuries, mental trauma. So, none of these guys would do that. Him being a commander and the political head of the organization. And he's boots on ground. He's going to war. He's doing, he's being a shaheed, as we say in, Arabic. He's fulfilling his want for martyrdom, which is actually contrary to, what most Westerners won't, they won't actually understand this concept, but that's actually, it's viewed in the Muslim world as an honor. It's a reward to be martyred. It's the highest form of reward and honor, especially when in war. And so, what politician, what individual do you know? Even Hitler ran away, committed suicide when his regime was ending. Even Saddam Hussein, right? A lot of these Arabs love to, a lot of Arabs like to promote Saddam Hussein as his hero and stuff. When the Americans took him out of his, his hideout, he was scared. Like he didn't stand on ground. He ended up going to trial and they had to execute him, but he wasn't there. He didn't fight back. He didn't resist. Right? And the IDF, their decision to release this footage is absolutely stupid because now this guy's revered as a symbol of resistance, of oppression. And I'm sure they're gonna have murals and paintings of this guy, similar to Che Guevara, and other figures who have resisted oppression and have died heroically. So people in the Western world, people like living in America and some of these places in Britain, and they're not gonna understand the concept of martyr to even being a leader. How honorable that is. But yeah. But shout out to Ali Dawa too, and some of the people that react to it. AI Telly, man, go subscribe to their channels. Shout out to them. They got great content.